A couple of things about this that I want to make sure you understand. Best Buy, Target, Kohl's, Macy's, Walmart, Toys R Us, Costco, BJ's, and Sam's Club. So if you remember, I talked to you about this 8-step formula, right? You remember we did that yesterday? There's 8 steps. I want to go through it with you again because I want you to understand what's going to happen next week, what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. So step number 1, you're going to source the product, right? You're going to go to Best Buy, Costco, Macy's, Target, wherever, and you're going to find the product. Step number 2 is you're going to check to see if it's on Amazon. And lots of stuff will be on Amazon. And step number 3 is where it gets tricky. Step number 3 is where you're going to determine the profitability. Now, step number 4, I'm going to come back to this one in just a minute. Step number 4 is the velocity. In other words, is it selling? And if it is, how many should we buy? Step number 5 is to list it before we buy it to make sure we can sell it. Step number 6 is to buy it. Step number 7 is to prep it, either yourself or at the prep center. And step number 8 is to send it to Amazon for FBA. Okay, that's the flow. That's the process. So I'm going to say this again. Step number 1 is source the product. Step number 2 is see if it's on Amazon. Step number 3, determine the profitability. Step number 4, make sure it's selling. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Step number 5 is list it. Step number 6 is buy it, then prep it, then send it to Amazon for fulfillment, right? It goes like this. That's the flow. Now, if you're doing it on your own, you're going to figure out a lot of these steps on your own, right? If you're doing it with Internet Mastery, then the process is the same 8 steps, but there's a few things, there's 2 in particular that I want you to be aware of. Number 1 is the profitability. This one right here in the month of December is very tricky, very, very tricky. And number 2 is to make sure you list it first. Those are the 2 elements that are going to cause you the most obstacle or grief in the next couple of weeks. And so if you know what to expect and then you know how to handle it, then you know how to take your business to the next level. So source the product, see if it's on Amazon, determine the profitability, make sure it's selling, list it, buy it, prep it, and send it to Amazon. Now, again, if you're doing it on your own, then you're going to go through the steps manually. You're going to determine the profitability using either the guesstimate method or the Amazon method. To see if it's selling, if you're doing it on your own, you're going to look at the number of reviews, the number of sellers. You're going to take a look at whatever that rank is, and you'll take a look at what Amazon says in terms of how many have been selling, and you'll make your best guesstimate. Then you'll list it, make sure it's not gated, and then you'll buy it, you'll prep it, and you'll send it to Amazon. So here's what happens. This time of the year, where we're in the holiday season, retailers are discounting their products as low as possible. But guess what? So are sellers on Amazon. The Amazon sellers want to compete, so they lower their prices as low as possible. So what happens is when you look at the retailer and then you look at Amazon and you say, my gosh, it's only 3% profit, I'm out. Or it's only 1% profit, or it's minus 4% profit, I'm out. So that's the normal challenge. And since so much competitive pricing is going on, what you'll find is that the majority of the items you look at are just not profitable. So what I want you to do is I want you to use some Spirivals X-ray vision. And I want you to go back to what you were looking at, what we were looking at when I went into Spirivals and showed you the 30-day and the 365-day numbers. And use those numbers to actually make your determination on the profitability of your item. In other words, if it costs you $10 to buy an item and it's selling on Amazon for $10, you're not going to be profitable. So you shouldn't buy that item, except for you. Here's what you need to remember. When you buy the item, it's not going to be available on Amazon for 2 or 3 weeks, at least 2 or 3 weeks during the holiday season. So 3 weeks down the road, and if it doesn't sell in the first few days, that's okay. But 3, 4 weeks down the road, what's going to happen? The price is going to creep back to the 30-day and the 365 average numbers. So if you know what those numbers are, and those numbers show a 20, 30, 40% profitability, you should buy or look into buying that item if you can list it. So the pricing is a deal breaker for most people who either A, don't have the technology, or B, who have the technology and don't understand how to use it properly to forecast what the pricing of these items is going to be in the future. Now, there's other opportunities, by the way, because even if your items are priced higher than other people, if those items sell out really fast, no one else can get their inventory in, all of a sudden you'll be left with the higher pricing. So there's a really good opportunity here that most people who sell on Amazon miss, even if they're following this process, because it looks like the items are out of stock. And then the other big one is the listing of the item. Okay. So the profitability piece, we can use SPY Rivals for that to give us our 30-day and 365-day moving average to make our determination. The listing of the item is the other hang-up. And again, if you're brand new and your seller performance is non-existent and your IPI score is at 200, you can expect the majority of the items you look at to be gated. But if you follow this process slowly and build up your IPI score, and it goes pretty fast, by the way, just understand and recognize that you're going to have to look at a bunch of items. And sometimes this frustrates people. That's why I'm having this conversation with you. Don't let it frustrate you. It's not hard. It's just the process. New babies fall down a lot before they actually walk. And we never say to a new baby, listen, you've tried now 8 more times to walk, 8 times. If you don't walk this time, that's it, you're done. Of course not. We always encourage a new baby until they finally walk. But as we get older in life, we forget that it's okay not to succeed the first time. And so we get discouraged easily. Plus, we have these negative people all around us telling us it wasn't going to work in the first place. Ignore the noise. Don't be a SNIOP. Don't be susceptible to the negative influences of other people. Just set your expectations. Step 1, source the product. Step 2, make sure it's on Amazon. Step 3, determine the profitability. You can use the guesstimate method, the Amazon method, or let SPY Rivals give you the real data. Step number 4 is to see if it's selling. You'll either guesstimate that on your own, or you'll let SPY Rivals tell you how many you should buy. Step number 5 is to list it. Step number 5 is to list it. Step number 6, buy it. You'll either send it to your house or to the Internet Mastery Prep Center. And step number 8, it'll go off to Amazon for fulfillment. If you can follow these steps the way that I have laid them out, the only way this doesn't work is if you give up. As long as you keep moving forward and keep pushing yourself to drive forward, then the results get as big as you want them to be. So in this example, this product is from entirelypets.com. That's a website we didn't talk about. You click on that link and buy it. We can see here that we could buy 9 of them a month. 9 of them. That's how many we're going to sell every month. Our net profit is 21%. That's $9.52 per unit. That's it. Done. Thank you for coming. Have a nice day. Now, is it that easy? No. That's why you have to watch the videos. Is there stuff to do? Yes. But this process is really important. Now, one of the things that I would do is this. I would say if this item is selling right now for $87.59, I might want to look this up in SPY Rivals. This is what I was talking about a few minutes ago. So let's just take a look and see what our data shows. If I look at this This is the exact example of what I was referring to earlier. Take a look at this. The current selling price on Amazon is $87.59. We know that that's a 21% profit. However, take a look at the 30-day moving average, $88.99, almost exactly the same as where we're at, except for one thing. Look at this. The last 365 days, the average selling price, $104.79. So once I move past the holidays, what's that going to tell me? That's going to tell me that my opportunity goes up, not down. So in this particular case, let's just take a quick peek. Our buy price on this item, if we go back to our Bolo deal, is $44.28. So what does that mean? Well, if we buy it for $44.28 and we sell it for the current existing price, we're going to make just about 20%, right? So if we bought it for 40, and now I don't remember. Oh my gosh, I'm getting old. $44.20, $44.28. All right, I'm not going to forget that this time. $44.28. Don't let me say anything else except $44.28. What am I saying? $44.28. Okay, $44.28. And this tells us that our profit is 21%. But we know that the 1 year average of this is $104.79. So if I were to scroll this up on my slider here to $104.79, like this, oops, there we go. Now my profit is 55%. So this is a slam dunk home run. And this is how we determine what's happening when it comes to the historical pricing. Now, this was the perfect example to lead back to what I was sharing with you just a little bit earlier. Let's take a look at another one. This one has a 1% profit. I'll keep going. This one has a 222% profit. You could sell 4 of them. This is from Target. Look at this. This is from Betty Crocker from Target, okay? And you can sell 290 of these a month. What? Your profit is only 87 cents, but that's $300 in profit and 36% return on your investment. Remember what we did for our numbers, right? We did our numbers based on a 15% return. What happens when you make a 36% return? In this case, it's 8 units at a 17% return. In this case, it's 8 units at a 49% return from Walgreens. In this, it's from Best Buy, 25 units, 5% return. Target, we can see here, 8% return. Now, I want to do the same thing with this, okay? So this is selling right now for $111.19. $111.19. And this strategy of looking at the last 12 months is a game changer for a lot of people when they understand how to do this the right way. Now, let's take a look at this. Okay, this is the exact opposite example, which is perfect for what I want you to see. This is the last 30 days, $103. The current price is $111.99. But the last year, it's $99.98. So what this means is if we were to buy this item for $79.99, we know that the profit is at 8%. But what happens if we lower the price down to the annual price? We see that our profit is now minus 5%. So what I want you to understand is that by having the data, you make smarter buying decisions on your inventory. And of course, the Bolo deals change every week. And the more you know, the more you know. And the more you understand, the more you understand. But if you go through this process properly and you do it the right way, it's amazing what the opportunity is. So